Andrew Yang. No, Andrew Yang. Come on, Andrew Yang. Sorry guys, look, small confession. I hired MSNBC's post-production crew. They were panhandling, they were desperate, and I don't have a big budget. I thought they'd learned their lesson. I was wrong, but I fired them. They're gone, so let's just move on. Andrew Yang. Entrepreneur, philanthropist, Asian man. He says he's a man. I personally don't see gender, and I don't care. Super woke. As long as he, she is Asian. Andrew Yang is the only presidential candidate making technological change the cornerstone of their campaign. Reasons to vote for Andrew Yang?
We think people do not need to touch the wheel, look out of the window sometime probably around, I don't know, second quarter of next year.
So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second.
Amazon's the most egregious example, where they're now soaking up $20 billion in business and causing 30% of American malls and stores to close.
This is called the Sewbot. It automates what once took delicate hand dexterity and can sew as many shirts per hour as 17 factory workers.
That last one is a massage chair I tried at CES. That thing is going to put every masseuse out of a job. It massages you like it needs a place to stay. It massages you like it thinks robots are about to take its job. I swear if I had one of these in my house and I never had to pay a massage parlor again, I wouldn't even miss the hand jobs. It's that good. If Andrew Yang's elected president, my first 12 freedom dividend payments are going to Ocho chairs. Maybe the reason automation doesn't seem like a problem is it's awesome. We want it. We love vending machines. Always have. Nobody's ever been anti-vending machine. No one's arguing to replace all the vending machines at your kid's school with some guy named Jeff. Nobody wants to pay Jeff a salary for that or healthcare. Also, why does Jeff even want that job? You're 35, Jeff. Why are you hanging around 12-year-olds all day doling out Pepsis and candy bars? It's creepy, Jeff. Shave the mustache, get a real job. The point is, we love automation, so we don't want to believe it's caused all these negative outcomes like mass unemployment, class warfare, and rising income inequality. But people are starting to wake up to this idea, and the Yang Gang is growing fast. Andrew's received endorsements from Elon Musk, me, Jack Dorsey, Donald Glover, me, Ken Jeong, me, and now Dave Chappelle. But most importantly, me. But maybe the second most impressive person to be championing Andrew Yang's ideas is one you've likely never heard of. Conservative Republican, advisor to the Bush administration, Harvard professor, and guy most likely to have written your Econ 101 textbook, Greg Mankiw.
Author of the best-selling economics textbook for a long time, right? It's amazing. What, 25 years, something like that?
That's right.
His definitions on economic principles are the ones you wrote in your flashcards. So if you think you know macroeconomics better than this guy, you technically can't. So tonight, with Greg's help, we're going to take a deep dive into billionaires, robots, and taxes because this is Knee of the Curve. Welcome to Knee of the Curve. Don't get left in the past. Hit subscribe to stay up to date on your Roomba's tax bracket. If I make you laugh or you learn a little something or both and you feel like supporting the show, there's some merch on Teespring, and check out the description for links to Patreon, PayPal, crypto, or just share this with someone you think will like it. Let's get into it. Billionaires. They're just like you and me. It's just their lives that are so much better.
What's the worst thing about being a billionaire? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Honesty, which, by the way, can be bought. It's got that in common with a spot on the debate stage. Andrew Yang was kept out of last night's debate in part because he's been outspent by billionaires Tom Steyer and Mike Bloomberg. That's not them. There we go. Yep, that's them. But seriously, Tom, the opposite of trending Steyer, made the debate and then proceeded to break the fourth wall, lock eyes with me, and wag the shit out of his head. Tom, you okay, guy? he needs a massage chair. I'll say it, guy looks like a scarecrow with rats fucking in its head. But at least he didn't trend in the same way Elizabeth Warren did after the debate, with "Never Warren" tweeted 62,000 times by the next afternoon. Hilariously, started by her own supporters, proving no one internet's as good as the Yang Gang, who got "America Needs Yang" trending during the broadcast. The next night, Andrew talked billionaires on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
We have a billionaire in office right now, and last night we had Mayor Bloomberg, who is an honest-to-God billionaire, and Tom Steyer, who is a billionaire. What does it mean to you that we have so many billionaires running for president right now?
Unfortunately, if you have $1 billion, that's going to put you in the driver's seat to make debate stages and be able to run for president, much more so than if you're the average citizen who just has some good ideas.
Good ideas like democracy dollars, Andrew Yang's idea to put candidates on a level playing field.
Money has been in politics for decades and will just find its way back in. So the way we beat it is we give every American 100 democracy dollars that we can use for any candidate or campaign, and that would wash out the lobbyist cash by a factor of 7 or 8 to 1. If you get 10,000 Americans together and then you look at them and they're like, hey, we want you to, fight opiates or like beat up the drug companies, which we should do. And then when the drug company or the lobbyist waves $50K at you or $100K at you, you'd be like, the people have millions at their disposal, and if I go against them, I'm going to lose. So we can line up the people and the money by putting democracy dollars in our hands.
This is the kind of smart, pragmatic idea you'll never hear from billionaires or politicians who are in the pocket of billionaires. And this idea is not even anti-billionaire, which can't be said for Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders.
The top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%.
The rich are not like you and me. The really, really billionaires are making their money off their accumulated wealth, and it just keeps growing.
First of all, that sounds awesome. We should all try and do that. To learn how, just take a listen to billionaire Abigail Disney talk about how money works.
Money just makes money. It's like you put it in a room and you close the door and it has sex and then more money babies grow. That's kind of how it works.
And it's a good time to be money because money is doing a lot of...
Billionaires are booming. In 1987, there were an estimated 140 billionaires. In 2019, there are 15 times as many billionaires, with almost 30 times more wealth, totaling almost $9 trillion.
That's a lot of money that could buy a lot of elections and at least 2 Ocho massage chairs. But it's true, in the last few decades, business has increasingly moved online, making it possible for companies with fewer and fewer employees to generate billions in sales. And as the automation of more industries takes more jobs from textile workers, automakers, truck drivers, call center workers, and masseuses, it's easy to feel some trepidation, but think about it. These jobs all have something in common with coal mining jobs. They suck, especially masseuses. Especially masseuses. So, the big questions we need answered are billionaires bad for the economy? Should we target extremely wealthy individuals to pay higher taxes, or should the system be changed so that taxes are harvested before they find their way into billionaires' pockets? To the first question, it's worth looking into what happens in economies that allow for billionaires.
Extreme poverty is almost gone from China. Before 1978, there were no Chinese billionaires.
By 2017, China was minting 2 new billionaires a week and had the second highest number of billionaires in the world after the US. It's a similar story in India. Their emerging economy lifted tens of millions of people out of poverty and created over 100 billionaires.
That guy's so happy! That guy has a massage chair. That's steel magnate Lakshmi Mittal looking like he also just found out how rich he is. What is it about being a billionaire that makes you look like rats are fucking in your head? Mittal made his billions the traditional way, through family and political connections and through his country's natural resources. But not every billionaire is an asshole. I have a 2-word answer for why billionaires should exist. Elon Musk. That dude's a badass. He put his entire fortune on the line to move society forward. His Two biggest companies' missions are to transition the world to renewable energy and to make our species multiplanetary so we don't go extinct from asteroid impacts. He has his own line of flamethrowers, he shot his car into space, and his 7th baby into a rock star. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, Elon doesn't have enough money. And one major problem with a wealth tax is that you can't tax someone's wealth if it consists of stock in a company.
So what I actually have is whatever my Tesla and SpaceX stock is, and then there's about $1 billion of debt against that. This is sometimes taken to imply that I'm claiming that I have no money, which I'm not claiming. You'll see some number, some big number in Forbes or something. People will think I have the Tesla and SpaceX stock and I have the cash. And I'm being somehow, I'm just sitting on the cash and doing nothing with it and hoarding resources. I'm like, no, it's the only alternative would be to say, okay, let's give the stock to the government or something, and then the government would be running things, and the government just is not good at running things.
Take it from the guy that's kicking NASA's ass. Also, Bill Gates is another billionaire we should all be happy exists. He created the Giving Pledge, which 150 billionaires so far have signed, committing to give the majority of their fortunes to charity in their lifetime. And among many other philanthropic endeavors, the Gates Foundation is close to eradicating polio from the face of the earth. So let's not pretend that billionaires aren't doing huge things. They're not just sitting around watching their bank accounts make money babies. So, there are a few different kinds of billionaires, a bunch even. So Harvard economics professor Greg Mankiw, should we treat them all the same?
The crazy idea from my perspective is the wealth tax. Let's imagine you have two people who make the same income. They're in the top 0.1%. And you tell, and one of them says, okay, I want to take my $10 million a year and have lavish parties, fly a private jet, and I'm going to blow it. Another says, I want to accumulate it and invest in small businesses, and eventually leave some to my kids and grandchildren and nephews and nieces and give some to my alma mater. The wealth tax says the second guy should pay more taxes than the first guy. So I don't. So
it penalizes saving.
So just to recap, people in favor of a wealth tax want billionaires to spend all their money real fast on stupid shit. What they don't want is for billionaires to slowly cure polio. That's the plan. Okay, well, economics is hard and jealousy is real. So if your instincts tell you just to take the money from billionaires, you're not alone. If only the implications of a wealth tax could be simplified into something a tiny child could understand.
Thank you for taking my question. I have heard both you and Cory Booker opposing a wealth tax. I have not studied how it has failed in other countries, but I have a sense on how it would in this one for 5 reasons. The first is it costs a lot to administer, and so it is an inefficient way to tax. The second is it's very hard to determine how much value something has unless it is just money. A third is it encourages people to spend instead of investing and building a business. A fourth is it taxes the same money over and over again and erodes the money you have to tax. The fifth is because of inflation, unless the wealth tax is shaped to inflation, it erodes the money that people have, putting the cap that gets lower, and there is no money to tax. And my question is a 2-part question. The first is, do you have any more reasons why a wealth tax would fail? And the second is, what kind of a tax would you decide to have that would not tax poor people more than rich people?
Wow. I used to be Yang Gang, and now I'm whatever gang that little kid's running. I will cut someone for her.
That was awesome and adorable. That person's a subject of some high-quality parenting, I would suggest.
Yeah, she is. So here are all the reasons she listed. I'll link Greg Mankiw's full interview in the description. He explains in full detail, more than I can here, why everything that little economics cherub said was true. But let's just gloss over them real quick. 1. It costs a lot to administer. Currently, the IRS employs 94,000 people whose salaries total $7 billion. At least 200,000 households would qualify for a wealth tax, so you'd have to audit each and every one of them down to things like family heirlooms. The IRS doesn't have the manpower. They'd need to balloon up like K-Fed after Britney. I know, that reference is 15 years old. I just hate K-Fed, and it's fun to do. 2, it's very hard to determine value. They already hide their money. If you didn't catch it as income, you're not going to catch it behind 3 LLCs in the Caymans. Plus, the value of some things is really hard to measure, like copyrights or brand loyalty or Kim Kardashian's ass. And then, as she ages, you got to account for depreciation. It's a nightmare for the appraiser and the ass. 3, it encourages spending over saving. So the more you save and invest, the more you're taxed, encouraging people to live like Dan Bilzerian. And look, no judgment, that looks fun, but really, is the solution to America's problems more of this guy? 4, it taxes the same money over and over, basically setting an upper limit on compound interest. So similar to a career in stand-up comedy, you'd have to be doing very well in the market just to save no money. 5, it erodes the money available to tax. So over time, the benefits of this tax get less effective. Like fentanyl. It's a great way to put the hurt on white people. Hang in there, whites. But you need more and more of it to get the same effect, and eventually, it takes everything. On the other hand, Andrew Yang's proposal for how to end income inequality is a value-added tax, or VAT. Most countries have some form of VAT, but America is still scared to get it like it's HPV for the tax code. Except instead of causing warts, it pays for college. And once you know it's not going to kill you and getting it is pretty much inevitable, you're less scared to fund universal basic income.
If you give us, the American people, our fair share, tiny slice of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile, hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue, and we can afford a $1,000 dividend for each of us.
So what we need to know is, how does a value-added tax work? Why is it harder for corporations to avoid? And why does it go hand in hand with UBI? Quick confession, before I started researching this, I didn't know a lot about taxes. My strategy for doing my taxes was opening TurboTax and just doing this until it said I get money back. So if you already know what I'm about to tell you, you know what, just save it. You're still not as smart as that little economics cherub. Anyway, currently, sales tax only affects the end consumer. When you drop $14K on a new Ford Fiesta because you're sensible, but you've also got a wild side that screams, I'm mostly sensible, and you pay that $1,000 in sales tax, that's the only tax that's ever been collected on any component that went into making that car. Ford didn't pay taxes on the tires they bought from Michelin, the Michelin man didn't pay taxes on the rubber he bought from DuPont, and DuPont didn't pay sales tax for the raw materials they bought from Exxon. No one's paying taxes. You pay all the taxes for all the parts. A VAT makes it so all those transactions are taxed. That's why it's basically impossible for companies to get out of it. I know right now you're wondering, how much is my Ford Fiesta going to cost now? Because you're extremely sensible, and the Fiesta is going to have to wait until you have your answers. Well, it's true. Some of the expense will show up in the price of the car. Some. But keep in mind, your buying power just went up $12K a year, baby. Yeah, that deserves some music. And here's where the magic happens. The magic of a VAT is when we consider what's happening with automation. Right now, there are a lot of AI products being developed that are only going to be bought and sold ever by corporations. Fleets of self-driving cars, customer service AIs, warehouse robotics, exoskeleton robots, diagnostic imaging AI, the SoBot, and unfortunately at $11K a pop, massage chairs. Say if FedEx bought a fleet of self-driving trucks from Tesla, they would now have to pay a VAT likely worth billions, and it would make no sense for FedEx to raise their prices because the whole reason they're buying this technology is to stay competitive and reduce prices. Essentially, any VAT paid for by consumers would be returned to them with a UBI, and any VAT paid for by corporations would also fund UBI. Net positive. It's also projected that a VAT would raise 2 to 3 times that of a wealth tax in a year. And none of that money goes to bloated government bureaucracies, it goes to us. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does the conservative Republican Harvard economics professor, who's obviously against a wealth tax, think about VAT plus UBI?
Now, I'm not here to endorse Andrew Yang.
Okay.
But I think his basic idea at least seems workable to me. I mean, his idea is to put a value-added tax, which is basically a flat consumption tax, and use it to finance universal basic income, so everybody gets a lump sum back. That, I think, could work. It would be a pretty radical change from where we are. I understand that. But I think unlike the Elizabeth Warren thing, which is also a radical change, this is what I could see working.
Conservative economist endorses giving money away to everyone.
And how would this affect the kind of billionaires our country winds up with?
It's going to penalize the guy who's spending, who's living the lavish lifestyle more. And I think that's a good thing.
VAT plus UBI has the potential to eradicate poverty in America while keeping the dream of becoming a billionaire alive. And democracy dollars would keep them from owning our government. Tell me what you think in the comments. Are you for a wealth tax? Am I totally missing something? What do you think about a VAT plus UBI? Huge thanks, as always, to my Patreon supporters. If you like technology news, think about subscribing or joining these awesome people as a patron. If you'd like to watch more of any of the clips I showed today, they're all linked in the description. If you'd like to write jokes for this series, I definitely need more, and I don't have a joke for this. Or maybe you just want to help research, hit me up on Twitter @KneeOfTheCurve or join my Discord server. Or just click one of these other videos to stay up to date on how technology is changing everything. Thanks for watching. This is a lot to clean up. Peace.